So what I want to know is obviously wrestling is huge in India. It's one of the biggest, it's more popular
Mhm.
there than people in the West realize. So where did your love of wrestling start? And how did you break into the business?
So, Sam, when I first started, I started like as a as a bodybuilder and kickboxer. So I'm a national level kickboxer. And after that, I wanted to do something unique, like with my body, and I wanted to do a professional wrestling, but we don't had any options back home. It was very limited. And then I get to know about CW, the Great Kali School, and then I moved there for like 6 months. I had my just basic training there, and 2018, then I moved here. In Canada, and then Scott Demore, he's my coach. He trained me at his own school, Can-Am Wrestling School. It's in Windsor, Ontario.
Yes.
So then I completed my graduation from Can-Am Wrestling School, and yeah, I always wanted to be a professional wrestler, but because of the opportunities, we had to go through the different ways. It wasn't like you just go to wrestling school and just start training because the options was very limited, and the training was super expensive back home,
Yeah.
so it was hard to afford. So what we used to do all the different sports so we can stay in shape and we can win some medals. And when it's time, when we got an opportunity to go and do some tryout, just go there and then start learning. But now things change, and with time we have like more opportunities back there. We have some schools back there, but I think I was lucky. I moved here and I got the best school to learn.
When you were young, before you became a bodybuilder, did you have an interest in professional wrestling as a kid growing up or that sort of thing?
When I was growing up, like when I was like 5 or 6, at that after the 8, then I started like wrestling more and more. Because then I was just watching TNA back then. 6, I did ring, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's something different than other promotions, and it caught my attention. Then I started like watching again and again, and then I started realizing the psychology behind wrestling. And then I was like, okay, I want to do this, but I know like it's the other side of the world happening right now, and I don't know how to get there. So, I will just keep doing what I wanted to do, and eventually I find my own way.
Good. Okay. So now you've said in the past you want to be Impact's first Indian world champion. So if we
Mhm.
were to fantasy book that right now, what would the dream scenario be?
Right now, my dreams is still the same, to be the champion, because I haven't attained that goal. I'm still a little far from that goal, and I'm working towards that goal. But the big thing is like right now I'm under great learning tree. I'm learning a lot right now. I have Tommy Dreamer here, Scott Demore by himself, teaching me, and so many other people. Backstage, everybody's so cool, so open. So I can just go and ask them, hey, what do you think? Where should I work on? So my main focus is to have a match with Josh Alexander, and definitely I want to be the first world champion, Impact world champion.
I'd love to see that on pay-per-view. I think I don't know. You might need to embrace your evil side. I think for that to happen, or maybe he needs to embrace his evil side a little bit for that to happen. But I think that that could be a dream match. Just like the more I watch you on Impact TV, the more I want that as well. For
Mhm,
example, you've been battling with Moose recently, and that's a guy with some big shoes.
mhm.
So how do you feel about the program with Moose at the moment?
Uh, I'm feeling I'm feeling proud. I'm feeling great because that match, I really like that match. And definitely after every match, I personally have my own notes, making my own notes, learning a lot, try to work on my weak things. And after the match with Moose, now I know like if I have to wrestle him in near future, now I know like how he move, how he wrestle in a ring, and what can I do to make him boom, because he's a big guy and it's like a tree. I have to chop him down.
Because you're not a small dude, so but even up against him, he's an absolute beast, isn't he? Don't tell him I said that. Saying that there's an ocean, the Atlantic Ocean is between me and him, so we should be all right. Uh, let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
So if you could have a dream match, I know you've already said Josh Alexander, and obviously Josh is the champion, so he's the
Mhm,
target is on him for everybody. But who else there?
mhm.
If you could sorry, headline Bound for Glory, with anyone other than Josh, who else would it be?
Um, Eddie Edwards and Rich Swan. Like this, Rich Swan is like I was whenever I get a chance to talk to him, I was talking to him, and his wrestling style is totally different. He's flying in a ring, and Eddie Edwards he has his own way of wrestling. So now I had to wrestle. I had a chance to wrestle with Matt Cardona, and I already wrestled Moose. So now I want to, if I get a chance, I want to have a match with Eddie Edwards first, and then Rich Swann. These are
Awesome.
two yeah.
So I think obviously being in Canada positioned you quite well to go to Impact. I think because I think a lot of Canadian wrestlers like the sound of Impact with Anthem being based there as well. It's a good fit for a lot of people. So how's it been as a home to you, Impact Wrestling?
So Impact is like because when I started my wrestling, when I was training here, lots of Impact wrestlers used to come here at Scott School, like Can-Am Wrestling School, just to work on themselves or just to visit the school. So I somehow, directly or indirectly, I was in their, in connected to them. Like always used to see them. They were there and training people and this is the school like where who made me who I am today.
Yeah.
And Impact is like if I would say if Impact is only promotion who gave me chance to show what I got, and he built me from zero to hero. Like I was nothing when I started, and they believed in me and they gave me the opportunities. And then I try to do my 100%. I try to put my efforts. So it became now a family. It became a connection with Impact Wrestling where they helped me a lot. I was nobody, but they believed in me and they gave me the chance. So Impact is yeah, it impacts home for me.
It's great as well because obviously Impact is one of the big four. In the when I say
Yeah.
the big four Western companies anyway. So it's the minute you're on Impact TV, you're essentially a household name, and you're in the history books of wrestling for life. You will be talked about on
Hmm.
podcasts and things like that. So that must be a nice feeling. Like you've already cemented that
Hmm.
immortality even before you win
Yeah.
any titles. But let's cement that a little bit more by getting to that point. Have you got any interest in going after the X Division title before the World Championship?
Actually, yeah, Sam, like right now, these days, I was actually thinking, like, why, if I get a chance, that why not? Because my wrestling style, I just kind of realized that, like, I love to do X Division style matches too. Because we had like we had a match with, it was like a six-way match. And I like the way the X Division wrestlers move, and I think I can do that too. Instead of just a brawler, big style, I like heavyweight style matches. I can do X Division. So, and that's like it's a kind of I wanted to do it, and I want to challenge myself. Can I do that?
Yeah.
And I know that's my wrestling style too, and that way I can learn more and more. And because it's a fast-pacing match, sometimes you just have to do moves, and back and forth. And I want to test myself, and yeah, definitely, I would love to go for X Division Championship
So let's be honest. There's always
someday.
option three if you get the X Division title, which is always a hard thing to do. And I'd love to see a wrestler go after both belts one day rather than have one trade one into the other. But that would be an option if you got the X Division title. It could be a shocking moment where I know we saw Josh do it, and we've seen a few other people do it recently. So maybe it won't be done for a while. But let's just park wrestling for a moment, and let's talk about you. So who is Bhupinder Gujjar outside of the ring?
Yeah, Bhupinder Gujjar is a guy who moved all the way back from India to prove himself and to test himself to show what he got. I didn't born in Canada or US. So first it was difficult for me. First it was difficult to communicate and to learn the culture, to learn how things works here. And then I think for me I have passed that test and now I'm working with those star which I used to watch on TV, and this is another accomplishment for me. And I'm grateful that I'm able to represent my country, my city, and where I'm living right now, Windsor, Ontario. I'm grateful that I'm representing this city too on international stage. And personally, I want to learn more and more. I don't want people think that I'm an Indian wrestler. I want them to
Yeah,
think that this is a perfect package. This is a guy who is a wrestler but happens to be from India, happens to be, from another country. But I want to earn that respect. I don't want people, just think about me that, okay, this is a wrestler from India. But I want to earn that respect, which is, I think getting there. People are not judging me just because I'm from India. They are judging me on my wrestling skills. They like me more and more, and that way now I'm meeting new people and try to learn more and more. So my whole concept is just to learn and to be the best in the business. So when I retire, people can say, "Oh, Bhupinder is one of the best wrestler in this world."
that'd be awesome. I was also going to ask, when we're going to talk about outside of the ring, what inspires you in terms of music, movies, family, all that sort of thing?
Um, Family, yeah, I love my family. By music, I like hip hop. And I miss my family because I'm living here but just by myself. And my parents back home, my sister back home, And it was just me when I moved here. And still, I'm just living here by myself with my friends. And I like to go out. I like to, I like to do social media stuff. I like to shoot vlogs. I like to edit stuff, and I have my own YouTube channel, so I was always putting stuff there. So I always just want to learn new and new stuff.
I'm
And
going to go and
yeah,
subscribe to that when I'm off this. I'm going to go. I'm going to go and see what you get up to. Journalistic curiosity, nothing more. Um,
yeah,
I've got to
it's
ask
just a
then.
vlogging.
Exactly. You referenced something at the start of this interview, which was the six-sided ring. Now,
Mhm.
me and the other Soundsphere and Gimme a Hulia guys probably all have different opinions about this, as do loads of Impact fans. But which one do you prefer, the four-sided ring or the six-sided ring?
Sam, I think by just looking at it, I like the six-sided ring, but I can't say because I never get a chance to work in that ring. So I can't say like, okay, this ring is the best, yeah, or the six-sided ring was the best because I never get a chance to work in that. So I don't know like how good or bad that was. But the right now like four-sided ring, I'm pretty getting. I like it because I'm now getting comfortable, and especially if you work for TV, there's like a whole different level. So I can't say anything about that because I
It's a
never get a
weird one.
chance.
It is a
But
strange one.
look, the visuals are different. The visuals are great. Like it's a six-sided ring, and when you see, oh, this is something different, it gives you different, um, it's a different, which you never see every day.
I remember when I've been following TNA since the beginning. Perhaps you have been as well. And so each time they do the six-sided ring, I'm like, oh yeah, the six-sided ring's back. And then every time
Yes.
they do it to the four-sided ring, I'm like, oh thank God, it's a normal ring again. So I'm so inconsistent, and I think I imagine TNA and Impact has had that same issue over the years, deciding which one is to go with best. Because one makes them look a little bit more like UFC, the other one makes them look a little bit more like traditional wrestling. So it's hard to pick between the two, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, um,
I mean, if I have to, if I want to work, if I get a chance, I would love to, because I have gone, I have seen that ring when I was growing up, and why not? I would love to. I think it's a totally, it's a different actually.
Final question then, before I let you go. If we're looking back into TNA Impact Wrestling history, who has been your favorite performer from that brand or either brand? We'll look at it that way.
I used to watch Kurt Angle, Swan Joe, and these two guys like make a big difference on my life because when I used to watch them, they were like and top of their careers. They are still the greatest, but they were so famous back home because every then I can talk to my friends about them, and then we used to discuss about like how these guys are built up, big guys, and they are moving in a ring. So yeah, these two guys have a great influence on my life.
Awesome. I think Kurt Angle's in everybody's top five, isn't he? Really, I don't think I've ever met
Yeah.
a wrestler or a wrestling fan who doesn't have Kurt Angle in that top five. So Bhupinder,
Yes.
thank you so much.